All right.
You good? Okay, all right. I want to call to order and verification meeting notice.
Posted on the web.
Okay. Two then, roll call.
Mr. Brown.
Here.
Mr. Brisboy.
Here.
Mrs. Berrien. Here. Mr. Lewis.
Here.
Mr. Manning.
Here.
Mrs. Peterson.
Here.
Mrs. Rowe.
And then three, approval of the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Moving second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
When opposed? Motion carries. And four then, approval of the minutes of the March 8th, 2021.
I didn't see anything.
I would so move to approve as presented.
Mr. Brisbois, second.
Second.
Mrs. France, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Five then, citizens forum. Any citizens wishing to speak? Seeing none, hearing none?
Hang on 1 second. Hang on, I got people joining. Okay, ask that again, Steve, maybe.
Any citizens wishing to speak?
No.
Okay, seeing none, hearing none, we'll move on to six and presentation on air purifiers, upper 90 and precision control.
Upper 90 would like is first.
Okay, are they zooming?
They are zooming, yes.
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay? Excellent. So yeah, I guess I'll just, Julie, was there a certain way you wanted to do this or what were you guys thinking?
Do you want me to pull up your document?
Sure, that's fine. Yep. And I can just kind of talk to it. Just maybe I'll wait. Just let me know, I guess, when that's pulled up.
It's up.
Okay.
You can't see it, just so you know.
Yeah, that's okay. I can see it on, I have it on my computer, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so, Frank had reached out, gosh, a month or two ago and was just talking about looking to go down the path of ionization. And he just mentioned that, Precision Controls was also going to put a bid together to do GPS ionization. And so the product that we are recommending is a very similar product to GPS. It's similar technology. There's just a couple kind of big differences between the two. And one is that it creates a different amount of positive and negative ions for the spaces. So it helps regulate the amount of positive versus negative ions in the space. Negative ions are the good ions that are, thought of as like, as you're going through waterfalls, things like that, that produces a lot of negative ions. Positive ions are more, from electrical devices, things like that, that are not necessarily good in nature, right? So that's kind of the big difference. Positive and negative ions also do not have the same half-life. So if you produce both of them at the same time, more negative ions will die before they get to the space that you're trying to affect. So the big difference here is that there's actually two generators in each unit to help control positive versus negative ions. And then I think scope of work as I get down there. So the ionization technology works the same, right? In eliminating pathogens, viruses, bacteria, and mold, help reduce smoke, air particulates, and VOC odors, and can also help lower utility budget by reducing the outside air requirements. But in most cases, unless their outside air was bumped up significantly due to COVID-19, you're not going to see a ton of energy savings from that standpoint. I think the only other thing on the introduction, I don't think there's anything else I really wanted to touch base too much there. There is a video that I had sent to Frank and Julie and Cheryl. I don't know if everyone's gotten to see that. I can certainly send that out too if you guys think that would be worthwhile, just talking more about the specifics of this product. Does a better job of detailing it than I can. But as far as the scope of work goes, it would be the turnkey installation of the dual ionization cold plasma regulators in the following units. So it'd be the 17 unit vents, the rooftop unit that serves the gym, all of your air handlers that serve the rest of your building, and then also included is commissioning of the system, right, to measure and verify positive and negative ion count in the spaces. Includes 4 site visits in the first year of service to verify proper installation and proper operation. And then also the project also includes a standard 1-year warranty on all labor and material. We do not have, kind of assumptions and clarifications, just not including any tweaks to the existing control system. That would all stay as is. Pretty uninvasive project from that standpoint. And then you can see the proposed cost there for $24,825, and then an alternate to do what I've always called, the community gym area down there, right? The transportation office, the weight room, and the kitchen and the air handler for that alternate price. The only other kind of differentiator that's not included in this proposal is that this company is a new company that is kind of just getting going. I know Frank is a big stickler on references. We have not installed this product in any school in Wisconsin yet, so I just want to be clear on that. It is a newer product that's just a little different tweak on the technology. But the one thing that they are also in the process of doing is creating a controls package that goes with this. So there'll actually be a sensor out in the field, much like your thermostat would work, so that when it's measuring a certain amount of PM counts or positive or negative ion counts, it will actually change how much positive and negative ions are being generated at the unit. So one example I like to give is if you have a classroom that, a whole cart of Chromebooks comes in, they're going to be giving out a whole bunch of positive ions. The sensor would see that and then start producing more negative ions quickly to kind of reduce that amount and help put the state of that area in the right distribution. So that is not part of this proposal. I don't really have, it's kind of a new technology, so I don't really have a cost to it for that, but it would definitely, it would definitely be an adder to do that, but that's something that can be done future state. It does not have to be done at the initial install, as it's kind of like an additional, kind of like a bonus control thing. It's not necessary, but would be nice to have. And I know Frank had mentioned that he was a big fan of that just for the feedback loop, right? Of saying, hey, is this thing actually working and how well is it working? Not just a year later, but 2 years later, 3 years later, things to those nature. As far as general maintenance and things like that, since the generators are separated, positive and negative, there's no agglomeration at the actual needle points, and so it cannot create any ozone or anything. So there's not really any mandatory cleaning necessary on this to prevent potential safety hazards in the future. I think that's my quick 2-minute summary for you guys. I'd love to be able to help answer any questions or anything like that as well.
I was baffled by the positive, negative stuff. So basically, because they're charging the air, the things in the air are clumping together better, and then the filters get out. So that's where the cleaner air comes in. So stuff like pollen, which doesn't usually get stopped by a filter, would then stick to 3 more pollens, and then it would be able to get cleaned out.
She was listening.
I watched the video too, so, and I can share the video if you'd like me to.
Yeah, I think the video does a much better job explaining it than I can, so.
Do we want to hear the other one and then we can ask
Okay.
questions of comparison or whatever? So just hang around. Is it Ben, right?
Ben,
Yep.
Just hang around, Ben, because then there might be questions comparing the two.
Yeah, no worries.
I also should have someone on Zoom here. Dan Bohm
Yep.
is on. Dan is an engineer and the supplier of our GPS units out of La Crosse. My name is Don Wallace. I'm the general manager of Precision Controls. And go to the next one here. Precision Controls is an old company. GPS technology is been around a little while. We've been installing them for the last 2 to 3 years. The technology's been around since 2009, long before COVID started. It was actually developed for smoke elimination in casinos. Nestle wanted something that would clean their pallets that go out to customers with food, water, and that kind of thing. They wanted to guarantee to be clean. And so they were a big user of this product initially. There's some difference between us and our competitors. We are UL certified and CE compliant. So I believe we're the only ones. Yes.
I don't know what UL and CE means.
Well, UL is underwriters, right? And it has to go through a process and be tested to be UL approved. And I'm sorry, Dan, can you speak to the CE?
Yeah, well, the important one is what you mentioned, the UL 2998, which is produces no ozone. It's a certification that UL has. As we had said before, ionization is not something new. It's been around for a very, very long time. And it actually got a little bit of a bad rap probably 15 years ago in the California market, where it became super popular, but they were all ozone generators. And then we later found out that ozone was very bad. So then the products got redesigned. GPS was never an ozone generator. So when they started in 2009, they were always ozone free, and UL recently created a new standard to test everybody's generators to make sure that they are ozone free.
Thank you. Obviously, we're local. We're a Richland Center company. Bob Silva formed Precision Controls in 1989, and we purchased the company from him and his two master HVAC techs last year, and have been covering 6 counties since then. We service, install, and perform preventative maintenance on commercial boilers, big HVAC, big furnaces, that kind of thing. In fact, we are your main service provider here at Ithaca Schools. We are the primary installer of GPS systems in commercial buildings, primarily schools, actually. And between our two techs, we're a very small company. We retain Bob Silva and myself as a manager, and we have 2 master HVAC techs with over 50 years experience between the 2 of them. Just got our website up and running, so we're excited about that. You know, a real difference in this equipment is I bring Dan Bohm with me to every school site. We look at every air handler in the school. We have an engineer. Dan worked for Trane for 20 years, Dan?
20 years at Trane and now 15 years with Masters Building Solutions.
Okay. And he makes me look a lot smarter than I am, mostly because I can install these units, but I can't explain bipolar ionization as well as he can. And he knows a lot about the product. And as an engineer, we put the right units in the right air handlers. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So we have a correct size GPS unit in every air handler in the school. The one that goes in the univents in the classrooms is this one. The one that goes in your 6-foot wide air handlers is this one, snapped together the length of the air handler. In some cases, we have 2 rows, so we cover every bit of air that goes through that air handler. Right now, on GPS's website, they have installed them in over 1,300 K through 12 schools and over 400 colleges and universities in the US. So
just in the, if I can chime in real quick, just so you know, in the state of Wisconsin, we supplied about $15 million worth of product last year in 2020. So we are by far the largest ionization supplier in the Midwest.
And Dan put this together for me today when he talked about ions. you need to know how many ions you're generating in each air handler. Because if you want this thing to be effective and work, you've got to have the correct amount of ions in each room based on the air handler size and the equipment that you use. So, for example, this iMod Snap, it's a 6-foot bar. This one has 2 bars and generates over 20 billion ions, which, again, we talk about testing them afterwards. You can only have your end result by having the correct equipment in the first place. It isn't as simple as putting a unit in an air handler and making it work. Dan, can you help me out with that, with iMods versus the FC24s?
Yeah, so we have a couple different things. So we use the iMods, or those long bar products, where we have air handlers that have ducted distribution, where it takes a little while for the air to go from the air handler into the occupied space. Because as much as we want to try to generate ions in the air handling unit, our goal is to present the ions into the occupied space where everybody's breathing. So although we're going to clean up duct and we're going to find problems in your ductwork, and as Don has gone through on their jobs, we've found where we can generate all kinds of ions at the air handling unit. But what's really important is what gets delivered to the space. So when we go through and commission it and take a reading of what's actually being delivered in the space, we have found jobs we've gotten very little ions into the space. And we found leaky ducts up above the ceiling. We found flex ducts blown off of diffusers, so no air was getting to the space. Very low velocity at the diffusers, so that the air that was being generated hung at the ceiling, never actually got down to where the breathing zone was. So what we're finding is these ion generating devices are actually creating really good troubleshooting tools for the schools or building owners to go through their systems and find out where some of their weaknesses are. In a unit ventilator, we can end up with a smaller ion generator because that air handling device is physically in the classroom. So once it blows the air through the ion generator into the classroom, it's there into the breathing zone. We're not worried about having to treat anything that's in the ductwork. If, should you have any mold or mildew in your ductwork, that it's going to attack that. So you can get away with a smaller capacity unit in a unit ventilator because it is right in the space already.
One big thing, and I see our competitor does that also. After we install the units, we go through every classroom and make sure that we're generating ions where those students sit, where the teacher sits. These diffusers determine air movement on, what comes out of that air handling unit. Sometimes diffusers get closed because somebody gets cold easily or has a breeze on them. We want to make sure you're getting what you paid for. We want to make sure that you're getting the ions that you expect to kill E. coli, to kill bacteria, to kill influenzas, and hopefully would have an effect on attendance, on teachers, on everyone. So, and I'll touch on that in just a little bit. So we're going to know, if you choose us when you're done, where your strong and weak points are. And if there is a problem, we're going to find out why. Like Dan mentioned, dirty ductwork, or even carpet sucks up ions. So the test in this room is going to be different than the test in the hallway. So I wanted to share with you, we are already in Kickapoo, Viroqua, Brookwood, Hillsborough, Westby, in Richland Center, which is my hometown. Don't hold that against me. We've done the Simon Center, Richland County Courthouse, Community Center, City Hall, Brewer Library. I got a quick story about Bethel Homes of Viroqua. Bethel is a retirement home or a senior living community. They had 26 cases of COVID in November. They called and asked us to please come there and give them a bid, and we were able to put them in within a week of them bidding. They were desperate for help. You know, we can't cure COVID in people, but we can cure or kill the virus that carries over and make it safer. I'm very happy to report that I talked to the head of maintenance just a week or so ago. They've been COVID-free for well over 2 months. If that's my grandma or my aunt or my relative, I'm going to be happy they're safe, and I'm very proud of that we have something to do with it, okay? So we've also done quotes for Riverdale and Richland Center. Those quotes are considerably higher. And they have to go through your same building and grounds and that kind of thing. I want to open it up real quickly for questions. I want to tell you, ours is a 3-year warranty on our product. We also, that's parts and labor. We do the test annually. We feel like if we have a handle on after the install and everything is working, if it's working and adequate ions are being created, you really shouldn't need to check quarterly. You know, it's working or it isn't. And we can check on by request anytime you have doubts. You will see your filters get fuller faster. And so I know you got a long meeting and I feel for you. But I do want, it's a very important decision for you all to make. It's not easy being in your shoes. Dan, did you have anything to add?
The only thing I would add is I know there's maintenance was brought up. So of the devices that Don has there, we have a couple of the products that we'd be using in the unit ventilators that are self-cleaning. There's a little helicopter brush that spins across the electrodes, and those will wipe off the electrodes. The long bars are self-cleaning kind of by design in that it's similar to what the competitor's product was. Because of the ion pulsations, they shouldn't attract dust and debris. We still do recommend yearly going through and wiping the bars down. Oils and other things that are not concentrated in the airstream but are in the airstreams will coat the electrodes. So we do recommend you go through and brush them off yearly. Minimal maintenance, but we do suggest that they do that. That'd be the only real maintenance item. We're willing to do the 3-year warranty because we just really do not see, if it's an electronic device, if there's going to be a failure, it's failure at startup, and those have been very few and far between. I don't suspect. We've been asked what is the life expectancy of the equipment. We're telling everybody 8 years because we can't come up with a different number. It should be longer. It's just electronics, but just like your computer, sometimes those electronics fail for no good reason as well. So we're putting a life expectancy of 8 years on the product. And then the capacity generation, knowing that there's a difference between the different products that we offer, that they're sized for specific pieces of equipment, that they're not all the same. We size it for the specific need.
So I realize we're more expensive. This is the first time I've ever not gotten a bid. And our competitor I can't speak to really because I wasn't aware they were around until recently. So we respect your decision. We feel like we have a great product that's proven and it's been around for a while. And just wish you luck in your decision. If you have any other questions, Dan is here and I'm here.
I have a question.
Okay.
I noticed in the presentation you had option, plenum mounted ion detector. That's an option?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's a nice to have, not a need to have kind of thing. And I guess my farming practicality, it leads me in that direction. They are $499 a piece as an extra
Per room.
per air handler.
Per device.
Yes. So those would be mounted on that bar we talk about. And it's got a green light and a blue light and an ion detector on the eye detect. And so those can be mounted on there. The maintenance person can look at that unit and know that it's producing ions. So great question, and thank you for bringing that up. There is an extra cost to that. The other thing is now, like Westby Schools bought and Kickapoo bought their own ion meter. They can check whatever they want, whenever they want, and we train them how to do it. And they're $10.99, $1,099 with a case and a power supply. And we will take a full day and train that person to use that ion meter so that they know they're producing ions, especially if you've had a sick person in a room or something like that. We also have an enclosed fan with a GPS 48 unit in it that could be used at events. They're used at voting booths. They're used in jails to clean up jail cells. If you look at the films that go along with this GPS website, you'll see the effectiveness kicks in within 10 minutes, within 30 minutes. In most cases, bacteria are 90 to 98% killed. And E. coli, which I associate with hamburger or, you know, food and that kind of stuff, which includes corona, which includes influenzas. And what are the others, Dan? Sorry.
Pretty much any pathogen is what the ionization technology is meant to attack. And I just want to also make it clear that if somebody in the room is actively spewing COVID, none of these ionization technologies is going to keep up with that. There is a time function that it requires to disinfect, or not disinfect, to deactivate the virus. So if you do have a student that is actively spewing COVID, even with the GPS product in place, it is not going to prevent anybody from getting sick. There is a time function that's required after the active participant that's creating the germs leaves for the ionization technologies to deactivate it. It's not instantaneous.
Okay, thank you very much, Dan. Any other questions from the board?
So on the devices that are $490, what kind of warranty do they have? The devices that you would install to read?
Oh, the sensors? Be the same warranty.
Be the same?
3 years.
So how many of those would we need?
Only for the number of air handlers that you have. They would not work on univents on your small. It would be 6 or 7 that you ideally would want for your big air handlers.
If you have the handheld one walking around, you probably wouldn't need those, right? Because you
True.
should just go in each room and check then.
Yes, you can check at will, and we'll show you how.
Most customers go with the handheld device.
Yes. All right. Any other questions? I know you get a lot, but I appreciate the opportunity. Dan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Any other questions we do have that on later as an action discussion item later? Anything else? Okay, if not,
Could I just make a couple of points of clarification too from upper 90 standpoint?
that's it.
If that's all right?
Yep.
So yeah, I think the reason, I just made a comment that it's a new product that they haven't seen us bidding this work, and they're 100% correct. Upper 90, if you guys remember, we did the energy project there with Precision Controls, and doing that 2 summers ago now. And so when COVID first started happening, there was a lot of push in the market for GPS type products and ionization. And we took a long, hard look at using the GPS products. And we just decided at that point, there wasn't enough known about it, right? It's not ASHRAE doesn't support it or doesn't, I guess, I don't know what the technical term of it, but ASHRAE does not support that. They are supporting UV. And so we were kind of cautious of that. And we'd stayed away from GPS for those reasons. Not that it doesn't, work, right? There's been plenty of examples of that. I think, they've done a nice job of their installs, and I'm certainly not here to negative sell GPS or Precision Controls. I think they're both good products and good company. The reason we just didn't support it is on the ion regulation on positive versus negative ions and the unknown health effects of that, right? I think that was where we started getting a little nervous about how much ions are being produced, positive and negative. And so when this product came out, like we said, as new product over the last year, they've been doing a lot of testing and analysis. They're working with ASHRAE, working with former people like that to get the approvals and the testing done by taking the same technology and just delivering it a little different way to kind of eliminate any potential safety hazards in the future. And I think that's where we're kind of on board now with trying to promote this product and talking to people like Frank and you guys, because we feel comfortable standing behind it now. And so I think I just wanted to at least clarify that a little bit from a new technology standpoint, right? It's the same ionization technology. It's just delivered a little different with a little bit more, in my opinion, safety factors around how the ions are being regulated, right? Making sure you're producing the right amount of positive and negative ions, and then you're eliminating the potential to create ozone. So thank you. We really appreciate the opportunity, guys.
Thanks, Ben. Anything else? Okay, all right. We will move forward. Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time. Okay, then we'll move on to 7 committee reports. Minutes 7-1 finance and personnel from earlier this evening.
Yes, we met tonight before this board meeting. Just a few checks of note. We had a check to Arneson's for unit number 7 or bus number 7, and it needed a new fuel tank, and that was $2,689.07. And then we had a legal bill, check number 51472 to Boardman, and this was for November of 2020 through January 26th of 2021, and that was for $1,384. We had 51479 to Complete Control. It was a service call. Things weren't cycling correctly. That was for $1,009.90. And for the board's interest, the snow plowing for February, it was 4 times, was $1,398.75. 51500 to Precision Controls. This, it was a service call. We added 6 relays and 5 auto resets for $2,670.02. And this was for our 2 oldest kind of units in the vestibules, and things were not working and needed to be replaced. 510509 to Tyranny, a 75-inch Clever Touch TV, and 1 rover and 2 flat panels to support this was $4,662.50, and it was paid for with the AODA grant. 51517 to Access Security. If you remember last month, we made our 50% down payment. And this time we had another bill for $2,240 to complete that. So that's paid in full, but they also found 2 horns strobes that were not working, and so that was $1,189.92, including the labor. Command Central, just an informational, for April elections programming was 900, and that was just for Sauk County. And then as we've been talking, I've talked a lot about in finance, 51540, Richland School District, our January and February food bill was $30,530.64. We also had a very long agenda, And we're gonna be addressing many of the things, so should we just talk about it then? The only one was the insurance? Yes, it's also on there. Okay. I think we'll just touch on, we went through many of this list as well as buildings and grounds did. So if there's questions at that time, I think we can address it. You have anything to add?
Any other questions or comments for finance and personnel? Okay, seeing none, hearing none. 7.2 then, buildings and grounds from April 7th.
We met and after the end of the meeting, we toured the community gym, the bus area, the bus driver area, and the bus shop to have a discussion, as well as the full community gym, including the locker rooms. We discussed the parking lots and the playground, discussed the live sporting events and the public comments. Our recommendation was not to have, when we stream events here from Ithaca, to discontinue any live comments. Because of some certain unprofessional comments being made during a basketball game. We discussed replacing the winches in the basketball gym and on the basketball hoops in the gym. The placement of the mission and vision signs in the school. Moving and adding entrance buttons and doorbells to the main entrance area that be more handicap accessible. Discuss the kitchen refrigeration and freezer and the possibility of the needs for that in the future. Interactive TVs and computers for the staff, air conditioning and air cleaning, just like we just had this presentation. We had batteries replaced in the defibrillators, discussion on selling a bus, and shower stall plumbing in the school here. We let Frank go ahead and take a shot at doing one, in an effort to try to keep the cost down, and then discuss the memorial for Mr. O'Connell for the track plaque. And as I stated, we also then toured the bus areas and the lower gym area. That's what I got.
Any other questions or comments for buildings and grounds? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, then 7.3 curriculum from
Hang on,
Thursday, April.
hang on. So it looks like it's not doing it correctly. Because instead of showing the room, now it shows a deer.
A deer?
That's your thing.
Yeah, that's I found a white deer in my yard, so I took a picture of it. And that's what
There
I
was a
did.
deer right there.
They're easier to shoot, y'all.
It just went like the zoom,
You want to ask people?
can you see the room?
No,
Chris?
we can see the white deer.
Okay.
That's because somehow.
The nice deer.
Oh, I didn't touch nothing.
You didn't.
There
touch
you go.
I did not touch anything.
Oh, sorry. You don't want to see Kathleen and myself.
Okay,
Here we go.
good.
She didn't touch anything.
We're back.
I didn't. I didn't turn on my phone.
Okay, we're good? Good?
Yes.
Okay, then we'll move on to 7.3 then, curriculum from Thursday, April 8th.
Okay, we met, like he said, on the 8th of April at 5 o'clock. And in our old business, we talked about the weighted grading discussion with the committee, and then also policy 347. That group had met again, and they've gotten kind of bogged down, really trying to look at what constitutes the rigors. So that's kind of going back to them, and then they will come back to us and to policy. Then we talked about grade reporting, looking at how we express student learning. Kathleen shared with us that the elementary is looking at doing the standard-based reporting, and that the report card, there's a staff member that's working on putting the report card in Skyward. In new business, summer school. It was discussed, and it will also be discussed more tonight. We have 2 interested teachers. We would mimic Richland Center's schedule, which would be 8:30 to 11:30, 4 days a week for 2 weeks. And then we would offer lunch, and we would keep the students until 3 o'clock. And this is for K through 5, correct? And we are looking at possible bus use, of possible busing the kids. So it would be like hands-on math and reading. 3 teachers, a larger group, 3 teachers to do a pull-out into smaller groups. There could very easily be standalone lessons as long as it incorporates the math and the reading and writing in every lesson and project-based learning. So I think Kathleen talked about then also using paras. If any of you saw the ad that has gone out. So the paras would help and they would cover the afternoon, after lunch, the lunch and afternoon. Let's see, then the virtual options, which they're still gathering, that there were 3 sources that they were looking at: Kiel, Brookwood, Wisconsin Virtual School. One of the things that we talked about was what our staff has been through this last year. And they would really like to look at no hybrid virtual. In other words, that our staff, that we would have another source for virtual, that would not be put on our staff. The goal is that we will be face-to-face. The school nurse, we also talked about that in finance. And so that'll be brought up later, but the concern is for more hours. We do have students where staff will need to be trained. That's why it came to curriculum, because there is a little learning there that the nurse would do with some of our students. Talked about the Orton Gilligan training for Mrs. Newkirk, and she has put this in her budget. And this would, really help her as she teaches and coaches our teachers. And that cost was $1,275 for the training. The training includes the training, the manual, the recipe for a reading book, syllable division workbook, and the tools, the strategy books, and the list goes on and on. And Andrea did a letter to us where she feels that this would be very beneficial, and so does our curriculum director. Coaching and training and how they go together, that's all part of the Orton Gilligan. And then, okay, help me pronounce that, SRTNC. Certainty is, which we have already, and this would be for the high school students. And I'm going to go back to the virtual. When we were talking about what Kiel and Brookwood and the Wisconsin virtual, we were talking at the high school level, not at the elementary and middle. And so this would be the same. There's live classes. Some have a cost, some don't, but we're already, working with them. And the list, when Julie or Kathleen pulled up, the choices for our students.
So AP Physics, AP Psych,
Yeah,
AP Statistics, World History, ASL, 1-2, Accounting 1, PNP.
So,
Another teacher.
These are all virtual classes.
yes,
This is
Yes.
distance learning, so it's a little different. It's
So
a
there's
live
teacher
instructor.
On a video.
There's a live instructor at the other end, and so it has to match up with time. But it is one way for our students to take AP courses if it lines up with their schedule. And these are mostly local, mostly local Belmont in there and, schools around us, so.
You can see it's quite a long list. So the students, I'm gonna go back up to calculus because it's kind of easy. This particular class is from 8:47 to 9:30, Monday through Friday, for a whole year. And it's no cost to the students. If a student wants to take that and it fits in their schedule, they should be able to go. This one is from 8 to 9:30, Monday through Friday. But it's first semester only. They're both AP Calc. So, you know, it depends on the kid and what they can fit in their schedule. This one's 9:54 to 10:30. And then there's one that's like, here we go, this one's Tuesday and Friday from 9:30 to 10:20 and Wednesday at 10:35 to 11:15. So again, it depends on the kid, what they want to take, if it fits in their schedule, and some of them have a cost. Free to certainty, these are all free. Yes. The AP test fee will be paid by the students. So most of them are free, but there's a couple of them that, here we go. AP Physics costs $370 per teacher per student per semester. So these would roll right into our other classes that we would pay so many per kid. And it would be a combined total of all, everything they want to take. They could, you know, we would include these in that.
And we did talk about that it would be like what they're taking at the campus, that they need to maintain a certain grade level, that there'd be that contract. Is there anything else, Kelly, Kathleen?
No, just that the fact that the virtual option would be, not this, would be to satisfy the desires of our families so we don't lose them out of our district. All three options would allow those high school students to remain an Ithaca student, but be educated virtually. Because we do have probably 10, I would say 10 high school students that have been virtual all year. So, you know, they're come back now if they have to do state testing, but they seem to like that model, so we don't want to lose them.
But you were going to look into and ask a few more questions, because some of them we do need a staff member on board.
Right.
And, you know, there are different
Yep.
requirements, so
Yep.
there were still quite a few unanswered questions with those.
Any other questions or comments for curriculum? Okay, seeing none, hearing none, we'll move on to 8 then reports. 8.1 Business Managers Report.
So I have a lot on my, but I'm not gonna go through it all. So you see the list of reports. Spring school board elections, Joe Brown got 270 votes, Linda Peterson got 197, Becca Keller got 171, Danielle Manning Twining got 110, and Amber Hillby got 94. So the top 3 will be joining us as board members at our main meeting. I have oaths of offices for both of you and your certificates of election. So the audit engagement we're talking about later, I just gave you some statistics on what it has cost us and what the contract was previous years. And I gave you an increase over the prior year there. And it always, that actual total, like on the first, on 17-18, we got randomly selected for a membership audit. It was a little bit higher. We did not get any of those audits this year, which I was thankful for, but they do them every so often, so some of those costs. And then when governmental accounting standard boards implements a new ruling, then they have to add some more auditing to look at those kind of things, like WRS enrollment and terminations was the new one, and then the OPEB one was a few years ago where they have to look at like the other post-employment benefits after, you know, like here's your census of your employee pool, how many of them are going, is it gonna cost us X amount for retirement for them staying on our health insurance and insurance renewal rates, I just put that in there. It was overall 3.5% increase. We're operating at under 50% utilization of our plan, so it's operating very well. We haven't had any significant losses. There was a state health insurance study done by, I'm trying to remember who it was done by. anyway, it's a 66-page document if anybody wants to read it. And what they're looking at is if they did a consortium of all Wisconsin school districts and put them all in the government, the state plan, health plan, overall districts would save money. I'm not sure that our district would. There are gonna be some, it's gonna be that same thing when you are utilizing your plan real low and you have a healthy staff, and then you get put in this pool with a whole bunch of others. So anyway, I just wanted you to be aware, somebody's thinking about possibly doing that at a state level, so I thought we should just be aware that it might be coming down the road where we don't have a choice. And it might be good for us at that point. I mean, who knows? And then I just did a food service breakdown, revenues, expenses for months and what the net gain. We had a net gain on all these months this year, and how many meals we consumed, how many are left. The contract guarantees that we will pay Richland 68,000 meals. We have 32,716 meals left, which.
Are you sure? I thought it was 66,000 meals.
No, it's 68 on the contract. I know we talked about it, but. It could be 66, but we're still gonna pay. We're not gonna use all those meals. We never do. Normally we end up cutting about a $10,000, $12,000 check to them for meals that we never consume. So.
We would try to negotiate that down.
So I just did an estimate of what if we were to do our own program, what the cost might be based on, I looked at prior to going to Richland and then what Richland's costs were. So, I mean, it's a lot of information, but it kind of shows you where, you know, we had the 2016-17 is when we entered into that agreement with them. We had higher costs that year because we did buy a steam kettle and a steamer that year. So there was, you know, extra expenses there. 19-20, I think the difference there was that it was a shortened year. So we didn't.
And we did talk about this in finance, you know, looking into, because of the number of meals that we don't use. Cheryl brought up some of the food waste, the amount that they buy that we can't use. We don't even have enough, you know,
We would
students
just
to
have
eat
a lot
them.
more local control if we took the program back, but I don't want us to just, I guess, jump.
And the other thing, we saw that we're gonna have probably about 10,000 meals. They're going to do our summer program, but we have to do a different contract. They're not gonna let us use
It'll
those.
be at the same cost. but
It'll be at the same cost, but
everybody's-
it won't. Yeah,
Won't roll over.
it won't roll over.
So, and down below that is just, and I think we could talk about this when we get to all those projects, can we?
Yep. Yeah, we've talked about it in finance, and we've talked about it in buildings and grounds. If we would potentially move forward on thinking about taking our program back, there's some planning that would have to be done and some updates that would have to be done, and so that would be, if we were looking that way, we would need to start, you know, thinking about putting some money away to update some of those things, or coolers and things like that, so.
Yeah, at this point, the warmer that is in there belongs to Richland. So we'd have to replace that, and we would definitely need to increase our freezer space. Like almost double it if, you know, not more. But. And they're aging out too. So we're kind of in the beginning processes of getting quotes and.
Anything else for business manager? Okay, not then 8.2 principals report, Mr. Lechner's report.
Hello, can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Great. Well, good evening and welcome to the new school board members. Our spring break is over. The third quarter grades are posted and the band trip was a success. We are in the home stretch for the 2021 school year. Though we have many more events such as prom, choir, concerts, sports, and of course the graduation for the class of 2021 coming up, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Speaking of spring break, I have heard everyone had a very restful and much needed recharging, including both the staff and students. I'll be honest, our third quarter grades were not what we were hoping for. Now, high school students know that only semester grades count towards their GPA, so sometimes they don't push as hard in the first part, in the first 9 weeks. But still, we were all disappointed in the amount of D's and F's that were earned by the students. There's over 42% at the high school level. We as a school district will continue to work to find ways to improve the engagement and therefore the success of our students. The student athletes have been hard at work preparing for their respective seasons to start. Everyone is looking forward to successful seasons since we really didn't have them last spring. The state of Wisconsin forward exams have begun. Students in grade 3 through 8 and 10th grade are involved in these tests. The state did not offer the tests in 2019 and 20, obviously because of the shutdown last year. We as a staff were actually looking forward to it because the year previous, 2018 and 19, the middle school and high school showed excellent gains. It will be interesting to see where we land this year. Anyone have any questions about any of that or any other thoughts?
Were there questions or comments for Mr. Lechner? Okay.
Shane, I don't have your report on here for some reason.
Seeing none,
I
then,
emailed it to you, but
8-3 then.
I emailed it to you.
Report, Mr. Shane's report.
It appears COVID numbers are down in the district. We have been advised by county health that students who exhibit symptoms after a negative test remain home and attend virtually until they are symptom-free for 24 hours. So we are following this guideline. The variant is in our area, so it seems to target children more than adults. So that is our what we've been advised to do. I've observed and met post-conference with all elementary teaching staff. Lessons are well organized, engaging, and students are responding positively to their instructors. Students are also practicing good behaviors in and out of the classrooms. By late May 2021, I will have completed and obtained my Reading 316 license from Viterbo University. Fifth grade students concluded their lessons with Officer Redeman from Mercer County Sheriff's Department. Officer Redeman visited both fifth grade classrooms 6 times. To conclude the lessons, the students created and videotaped skits to demonstrate how they will turn away from wrongdoing, illegal drug use, and make good choices. Brianna Robson, our resident student teacher from UW-Platteville, finished her rotation in kindergarten with Miss Jensen. She began working with intermediate elementary and is primarily working with Mr. Urban and his students. Mrs. Skyla Pauls conducted hearing screenings for students that the teachers recommended. The recommendations were based on how the students were performing and behaving in daily school life. Applications for the middle school reading and fifth grade positions are coming in. I hope to interview early to mid-May and offer a position before the end of the school year. And applications for summer school teachers and assistants have started coming in. Ads were run beginning last week. Summer school, if run, will be June 14th through the 17th and June 21 through the 24th. Once staffing is secured, more information will be shared. Curriculum update. Linda did a nice job. So we met and discussed weighted grading for specific high school classes. Policy 347, which addresses advancing middle level students into high school classes. A virtual option for students in grades 9 through 12 for next year, if they so choose to do this, because we will not be offering the hybrid option. And the opportunity for students to take AP courses and other courses through the Certainty Consortium of Schools. A contract will be drafted for those who wish to take a course this way. We're in the beginning stage, planning stages of next school year's professional development and professional learning communities. And teachers continue to align what they do to the state content standards for 4 classes by the end of the school year. 2 were last year. That's all I have.
Any other questions or comments for Ms. Shane? Okay. None, 8.4 then curriculum report.
I did it in it was in the bottom.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yep.
Okay.
Good. Okay. 8.5 then, Mrs. Arias. LMC report.
Hello.
Do you want me to be your
Page turner, would you please? Good evening. Just so you know that this started in a tech committee meeting. So Ms. Proud mentioned that board members saw our very cool B-bots. They are coding robots and there were questions about them. So I just wanted to give you a very brief update of things that we've done in Library Media Center, and then I will let you play with those because they're pretty fun. So first of all, I wanted to thank all of you for your support. Really good things have happened in the library this year, despite a very unusual year. And it's because we've had really great people who have supported the work that happens in here. So I want to recognize my partner, Mrs. Thompson and Ms. Shane, especially for letting us do things that we haven't done before, but it was best for our students. So last year when we told students to pick up their things and to go home, lots of school libraries closed down for their students, and the effort was about getting all the books back. And Ms. Shane encouraged me to open up the library, which we did, and we allowed students and their parents to come in and check out as many books as they wanted to for at-home reading. So over almost 1,800 books were checked out for virtual learning, and that's just a table, and the sign on it said something like, please leave these books here because we are shelving them. So these are the books when they were coming back. We had just piles of them, and Ms. Thompson came and helped me put them away. But over that time, when students were at home, they had access to books that they chose themselves, and we got almost all of those books back. So it was a tremendous partnership to be able to give students what they needed in time when they weren't physically in the building. We also did a free book giveaway, so Ms. Shane was also incredibly supportive for this. We were able to purchase enough books for all students in the elementary to come through and choose 3. So these are brand new books. We set them out in the gym and they were able to take them home for summer reading. The books that you see on top of the bookcases, just because they don't have a better place to put them, those are going to go out in May. We've also ordered 600 new books, and so those are also going to go home with students in May. So as many books that I have, students should be able to choose 4 for summer reading, and then we are also going to offer summer checkouts again. So students and their parents can sign a form saying, yep, we're going to check out 12 books. We agreed to bring them back in September. We let them come in, they choose their books, put them in a bag, and then they have 12 books that they can read over the summer. So if the public library isn't an option, if transportation isn't an option, they're going to have that resource available between free books and then library books to check out. So our circulation numbers, even though we had periods of virtual learning, so obviously when students aren't in the building, they can't be checking out books, but yet we checked out over 5,000 books since the beginning of September. And so those are books that are in students' hands, that they're reading, that they're using. It's a happening room. Kids are in here, teachers are in here, the collections are being used, the books are being used. It's really fantastic support. And I think it speaks very highly to our English teachers and our reading teachers who are using the library as a resource. So a theme that we had this year was that we knew that there were going to be a lot of different things. So we were looking at ways to be proactive and responsive. So knowing that virtual learning was probably going to happen, we looked at ways to invest in digital tools to provide information access to students even though they were at home. So Sora is our school library's ebook or electronic book lending system. So since September, we checked out almost 1,000 books on that. Those are ebooks that students can access from their Chromebook. So very similar to going into Amazon and being able to purchase the book that comes to your home or getting the Kindle book. Sora is our version of that, but it's free. So students are able to get almost any book that they want. I was elected to the state board for Sora this past year, so I'm able to see what's happening there at a state level. I just feel it's really important for rural school voices to be heard in those statewide decisions. I think oftentimes our needs are not known. And so to bring up different issues that we are seeing in rural areas is really important. So it's a resource that's being heavily used by our students and our staff. We also have added Epic and Tumble Book Library. So those are also options for students to get digital books. So especially for our full-time virtual students, they don't have access to this room. So how do we provide resources for them? So we looked into these. These are some of the best that are available for schools to provide to students. And when we were virtual, that's what students were using to access books that they could be reading at home. This is something different, and something that I've certainly grown in. And so this year we have had more a technology piece than I think we've ever had. I think it's safe to say. So we are providing daily technology support for students and staff in the library. And I want to thank Ms. Thompson, especially for her help in making this happen. So teachers will come in and they will say, I have a sub for the day. They need to be set up on my Zoom account. Someone needs to be there to make that happen. And that person oftentimes is us in the library, and that is a really wonderful service that we're able to provide. So Schoology is our learning management system. So getting that set up where teachers can use it as a tool to effectively engage with students and provide the resources. Zoom, getting them set up, getting teachers set up, even things like, document cameras. Being able to show what you're doing on a worksheet while you're writing it out with your students on Zoom and your students in the classroom. All those things are technology problem solving pieces that we've been able to work through together. So really fantastic things have happened. And I think that speaks really highly also to teachers being willing to try new things. So we were able to come up with a library plan. This is something that DPI requires that all school libraries have. So I was able to complete mine in the summertime. I was able to take a DPI provided professional development course on future ready libraries. So I have printed copies of this. It's also linked. Some of the highlights were that last year, one of my goals was to provide professional development technology training. I didn't see myself providing it in the big way that we are now, but I'm really thankful that that was something that I was thinking about even last year because it made me ready to step into it this year. Another goal that I had was to offer digital citizenship lessons to students. So digital citizenship is things like using devices responsibly, using the internet responsibly, using school internet resources responsibly. And to my knowledge, no curriculum for Wisconsin students has been created on this. I have looked. So I'm actually writing my own, which I think our students deserve to have the best. And so getting those lessons is something that they need. And they're now able to have that, which is very exciting. We have a website now. So in the spring, different things became really obvious where our holes were as far as information access and where students were slipping through the gaps. So I completed 2 master's degrees this year, one in library science, but my second was in technical writing and English. And I had the option to create my final project on anything that I wanted, and I wanted my final project to be a benefit to our students and our staff members. So I designed a website for the library. So this is just a screenshot of it. So now students know how to get here. And once they're here, they can access all the digital resources that the library provides. Before, I had no way to share those links out with students in one place. And that became very obvious in the spring when I was trying to communicate these links and there wasn't one place to send out. So now there is. So students can go here to find books in our physical library or to research, to read their books online. So Sora, Creating and Coding has different links, and then they also have a way to contact me if they are a virtual student and they need to be able to do that. So we now have one place that's housing all of those links and all those resources together. So this is just one slide from the curriculum that I'm writing for first grade students. So the standard that they are learning in this particular lesson is for 6-year-old students to identify ways that real life and online behaviors can be similar. So this is just a discussion that we would have in that lesson. So for example, it's a good idea to look up from my worksheet when my teacher's talking. Similarly, it's a good idea to look up from my tablet when my teacher's talking. Things like that we need to explicitly teach to students. We can't just assume that they would know that. It's not fair to make that assumption. So now they're going to explicitly be told how to use devices, how to use the internet appropriately. So that's one example of a slide. Another one in real life, I ask permission from my family before I talk to people I don't know. I ask permission from my family before I talk to people online. It's a way to keep our students safe and just not make assumptions about what they know, because that can be devastating if a student doesn't know that, but now they've been provided a device. So thinking about ways to show them how to use information responsibly and ethically and productively. Even though this year was different and there were lots of things that we couldn't do, there were lots of things that we could do. So the Golden Archer Award, this is a photo of a 5th grade class. This is something that is done here in the state of Wisconsin. It's a book award that is chosen by students. So teachers and adults do not get to pick the books. So these were the nominees that students in Wisconsin picked last year. So we read all 5 of these books. our school was able to vote, and King Baby, which is the book here, our school selected as the winner, and that was also the state winner. So that was just a really fun camaraderie building exercise that we could do between classrooms, and then connecting students with the idea of students throughout Wisconsin are reading these same books at the same time that you are, and they are similarly voting. So that was a ton of fun. And this year we were able to introduce a robotic coding program. So there are 2 students with the B-bots, which I will show you in just a little bit. Just a ton of fun to show students how computer coding can be used in libraries. We come to the library to find information that's important to us, but we can also come to the library to create information. And so by learning how to code a program, students are creating information. And I can't think of a better place for them to do that than here in the library. So I wanted to thank you all for your continued support. Does anyone have any questions before I show you coding? Cool deal. Okay, so I have learned from experience that this works best when I give you the short introduction. Here's your B-bot, okay? And I'm going to pretend that I am that B-bot just for right now. Okay, the B-bot speaks a very simple language, okay? It can go forward, it can turn to the right, it can turn to the left, it can go backward, it can erase everything that you told it to do, and it can pause. Okay, so if you do not click erase, your B-bot is going to remember every button that you push. And when you press go, it doesn't just do the last one that you put in, it starts from the beginning. So the big trick is to learn to just press erase because you're starting something new. It's like you're going to a new line in your document for Word. Okay, so I am the B-bot and you want me to go forward, what would you press? Forward. Let's say you want me to turn to the left. Left.
1 to the left,
Let's say you want me to go forward 2 squares.
2 forwards,
1, 2, and let's say you want me to back up 3.
back 3.
1, 2, 3, and then you press go to get me to do it. Now let's say you have something totally different you want me to do. What should you press?
Erase.
Okay. Ms. Thompson and Mr. Monty, would you please help me pass out B-bots? These are fine. Wait to press button.
Oh, come on now.
As my niece always says, if you don't know what you're doing, don't think with it.
I got to do it the other day. No, Linda.
Oh, okay.
I got to do it the other day with the students. Well, got to. It was helping them not be frustrated.
Okay. Yay, thank you. Okay, so very quickly to start, flip your B-bot over so that you can see its tummy. We've got 2 switches. We're going to turn the sound off. So that right-hand switch is going to go to the left. And that left-hand switch is going to go to the right. So your 2 switches should be close together. Your B-bot's on, but the sound is off. And then I would say press the X just in case the student ahead of you forgot to do that. So you cleared everything out and just play. See if you can get your B-bot to go around the perimeter of your board. See if you can go to all the middle squares. Just play with it.
Because you didn't tell it to go yet.
Okay. So that was 2, yep.
Look, it's going right up the tail.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is, because she didn't turn, she didn't.
Oh. Great.
She's not the only one. Okay.
Oh, there we go. Now we got- Hey, no, what?
You don't want me to change? There's some of them.
You gotta be the best.
I did not tell you to go that way.
You must have, but you may not have realized it. Because they don't do things without someone telling them what to do.
That is 2 spaces. I gotta turn it. Okay.
Is it clear? Turn, now forward twice. Clear.
Good job, Mr. Money.
Yep. My first rodeo.
Remind me, I had pictures for
Yes,
you
thank you.
from,
Can you take a picture of these guys?
Clear.
I just took these guys, but when we did the outside,
Oh,
walking
wonderful.
around, looking at
Okay.
the playground,
Awesome.
I just keep it on.
Programs and that. Nothing but left. I got the NASCAR program on.
Left turn, left turn.
And leave.
There you go.
Usually they go down one road. Okay. Rock, paper. Hey. I don't think I had no on the list. Good job, Sarah. Oh, now. All right, you lost them.
Let me just say this, they seem really simple and they are. Basically, they're teaching students of all levels that computer coding is just putting in a sequence of instructions and then learning how to troubleshoot. So it doesn't do what you wanted. How do you fix that? How do you go back in? How do you exercise that kind of patience and self-control to go back into your process, change your process to get an outcome? So that piece of growth mindset and perseverance is also something that comes in, although not always the first lesson plan, but something that happens. So thank you all so much. Really cool things are happening. Good things are happening in the library. Thank you for your support.
I also just wanted to add,
Thank you.
I think there's an implication that big schools get to talk about coding and computer programming and things. And so being able to bring this into a small class size in a rural school, it really opens kids up to, Emily said she had a student, we're writing code. Like that's a huge thing for kids who think this happens to adults or at big schools or at big companies. So we're bringing it to them where they can think about future things on a bigger scale.
So you had us turn off the noise. What do they do? Speak?
You can turn them on. Thanks for, just for demonstrations, but just imagine what a whole class of this.
Not quiet, no.
It is satisfying.
It is satisfying times 15, not as much. It is, they're cute sounds.
Fun, and thank you. That's why the libraries, when you have fun and your kind of enthusiasm, that's why we have the success.
Good things are happening.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Anything else on that? Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, then, we'll move on to 9, old business. 9.1, learning modalities, 9.1, discussion possible action on learning modalities and masking.
So y'all know the governor's mandate was overturned. So it is in our policy right now because we did the research committee. That was what everybody was asking. Are we gonna keep asking? I said, that's a board decision and we don't have a board meeting for a couple of weeks. So we got to this point. It's still your choice. I would advocate that we keep it because the new strain is coming out and Kathleen said more kids are getting it. Kind of don't want to mess with what's going on right now. We got 9 weeks left.
Not even.
Let's get through the school year. Everybody's used to it versus if we stop doing it and we have an outbreak and then we have to go back. And we aren't advocating any changes in learning.
Any other discussion?
What if we made?
I advocate that we keep it also.
Go ahead.
Say that again, Chris.
I said I advocate that we keep it also.
We need a change. Kids don't like coming to school.
I think we put at risk what we're hoping to be able to have the kids be able to do. I mean, we are just 32 days out? I'd really like to see them be able to have prom. I'd like to see them to maybe do some field trips. I think some of these things, I think we put at risk if we change. Our public health is still recommending that we mask. I mean, I know maybe the kids don't like it, but they're not gonna like it if prom gets canceled, baseball games get canceled. We saw success with the sports with masking, and they're saying that, you know, there's a lot more happening in some of these leagues where they're not masking. And the numbers with kids are going up. I mean, I'd love to take the mask off. But I think we put at risk what the kids are hoping to be able to do.
Any other discussion, comments? With no action, we would stay the same as what we are now.
I just want to advocate for people who cannot make changes to their lives to remain as safe as possible. There are people who can't obtain a vaccine. There are people who are too young to obtain a vaccine. There are people who have a hard time breathing actually with masks. And so when we, as a collective community, decide that we're going to take away something that is at least trying to mitigate the risk, that we put their safety at a higher risk than we put our own comfort.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. Seeing none. Move on to 9.1.2 then, discussion possible action on prom.
Mrs. Barron's up.
Mrs. Barron, you're up.
Well, I guess I know that Julie had sent me an email and she said that possibly it would, maybe there would be a change in prom. We're planning on it being outside, but I know that Chris had gotten an email from different administrators and neighboring schools and what they're doing, and he'd shared that with us. So I think I'm just kind of here listening to what was going to be decided. If there's some change, I don't know if they're thinking about having it maybe inside in the gym or something. I have no idea.
So that was one of the options that, since they've relaxed some of the regulations on site, I mean, and especially with the number of students that we thought would be here, they would fit comfortably in the gym. At least they wouldn't have to be outside. Now, mind you, if it's beautiful outside, we can open the doors and put a fence around and all that kind of stuff and have an additional area. But again, it's up to the board. But if we could have, you know, the option of having it in the gym, just to make sure that if there's a rain,
So
rain would not make it nice.
is our common area, our lunchroom area, is that too small?
I would think that would be too small.
Because I would
however.
think there's issues with the gym floor with heels.
I don't see, because we were told that that's pretty good. I mean, they told us we don't have to take, Stalkers is the one that does the floor, and they're like, just regular walking shoes are fine on it. You don't have to necessarily have gym shoes, but
They don't wear their shoes very long anyway, Linda.
Wow.
Take their shoes off.
Do they?
Mhm.
I mean,
They wear-
well, that's what I was wondering.
They wear them
Did
during the
we
picture?
say, get glitter slippers?
see, I wasn't allowed to take my shoes off ever. Do that, so,
Glitter slippers or
Chris, what are the other
fancy
districts doing?
sneakers?
yeah.
Chris, what are the other districts doing?
Most of the other, and in fact, all of the other districts are having them inside that are in our conference that responded to the survey that was put out. And it's about, I'd say about 3/4 say that the kids will still have to be masked and everything else. But we just know on an outdoor event, there's just so many variables. you know, with weather being number one. And we all know that people go to a lot of effort to look what they think is their best. And I just think the gym would work well.
You guys are comfortable with?
Yes, and I'm pretty sure Mrs. Barron's mentioned needing 1 or 2 more adults there, which we can definitely get more people.
What do you think, Mary Beth?
Yeah, that, I mean, I think that sounds great.
I think there was even, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was even like a limit of slow dances, and somebody had it all set up that only 1 slow dance in a row. So then they had to go someplace else. I don't know.
Yeah, there was a lot of ideas. I think it can be run pretty well. I do.
I mean, I
Obviously,
feel that way with the way the athletics went with the kids masking and doing what they were supposed to do. We really didn't have a lot of issues, so I think that indoor, and if it's nice and you wanted to add a little outdoor, but then you might have, that might not be good with the in and out as far as the floor.
We'd have to fence it.
Yeah. That might be more hassle than it's worth.
Right.
So do we need an action to basically change the venue from outdoor to indoor, or just recommendation?
I don't know.
I think you need an action because it had been stated that it would be outdoors.
Okay, thank you.
I'll move to allocate prom or authorize prom to be indoors
In the gym?
within the gymnasium facility.
I'll second that.
Been moved by Mr. Brisboy and seconded by Mrs. Peterson to hold prom in the gym. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Good. Have fun. Okay, then.
And if any of you want to chaperone, we are looking for extra chaperones if you'd like to.
Steve's a big.
Yes.
Huge.
Disco.
You can even dance.
More like a stumbler. 914 then, discussion possible action on, 913, discussion possible action on field trips.
So what happened is that we pretty much predicted at the beginning of the school year that people, they budgeted for field trips, and we really haven't been able to take them. But now that they've relaxed a little bit of the requirements, some people are saying, well, I know Mrs. Willis always goes to Devil's Lakes. Well, if they're gonna be outside walking, that, to me, that's a good field trip. But again, that's something that you guys would have to look at. Unfortunately, some people said, well, I didn't get to go on my field trip. Can I spend my money on this? And they did. So that money's gone. But if they haven't spent their money on their field trip, what are your thoughts on that?
Still busing though.
Must be on your, but you're still mask them and they're masked in the buses. Still
Wouldn't be any
standard,
different than a sporting event, right?
correct.
Right. Closer.
That'd be my thoughts on it. They're, the same protocols as we've had when riding the bus. At the venues is up to the, I guess I'm curious on, are they masked at the venues or?
Yes.
They're outdoors. Okay. I mean, that's fine.
Well, if they're outdoors and 6 feet away from each other, they don't have to be masked.
Yeah.
That's a bonus for being outside.
Mhm.
And for those that have spent their money, you could always suggest our school pools.
You go.
There's a lot of learning that can go on there and a lot of fun.
And most of the parents pay for quite a bit of the field trips anyway, so there's always a cost, but.
Are you looking for an action there or just a recommendation or?
I think an action would be nice.
I'll make a motion that that field trips can happen as long as they've been approved by administration.
You okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Peterson has made a motion to approve field trips that have been approved by administration. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. Ferriant. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, 914 then, discussion possible action on wrestling tournament.
Mr. Lechner, did you talk to Coach Clary today?
I did.
And
Is he on?
No,
Okay. Basically, when we had talked about it before, he asked about if they would have to mask the wrestlers. And I said, the way it sits right now is that on our campus, you have to mask. I said, the only one that can do that is the board. He said if they had to mask, then he would just,
you cut out, unmute yourself.
all right, what part did you miss?
The end.
Yeah. If they would have to mask, that's where you cut out.
Then he just do not have a tournament.
then he would prefer
Not have a tournament.
Okay.
So this is a table or no action? No action.
Okay. No.
He doesn't want to have it if they have the mask and we're still masking.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Okay. No other discussion on that. Then we'll move on to 915, discussion possible action on graduation.
So considering we have a very small graduating class, about 25, and if we limit to 4 adults, or I'm sorry, 4 visitors per graduate, that would still keep us at the right numbers. If we created pods like we did last year, to have it in the gym. We might even be able to squeak by with 5 per person, but you know, that'll wax and wane a little bit, but we'd like permission to have it indoors in the gym with 4 adult, other people present.
Would you figure would the band play? Or would you have it like the, they did for sporting events where the band would be out in the common area playing?
I haven't really had a chance to talk to Mrs. Behrens, but she hasn't had a chance to have the whole band for a really long time. So for the asking them to play, I would hope that they'd have something taped so we could play it that way. Same thing, the choir, they were talking about the seniors having a song, just the, you know, and then maybe playing something that was taped by the whole choir so that we could have that ahead of time. We could also live stream the event. So there's a couple of different options. We're still not quite got it all fleshed out. Having the school song taped would be awesome, just because we found out last year we could have used it a couple times.
Well, and I think that's what the senior class was waiting to see, if we're indoors or outdoors. They've had lots of discussion. Peg's had a lot of discussion with them. So if we have the decision indoors or outdoors, then they'll go forward with it.
They're preferring indoor?
They are.
They are?
Yes.
Would we have to have a limit if it was outdoor hypothetically?
No, because of the lifting of the restrictions, we could have almost anybody they wanted.
You just social distance your family group from other family groups.
It's as hot as it was last year.
Keep the speeches short. I would move to approve, move to allow indoor graduation ceremony for this year.
It's been moved by Mr. Briscoe to allow indoor graduation with
With the stipulation of 4.
Okay. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Manning. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Unopposed? 916.
I'd just like to say that, oh, sorry, Steve.
Go ahead.
I just like to comment that, you know, the live stream that we've learned how to do and things like that. That is going to be so great for, you know, friends and families that can't travel, but can still be involved in the ceremony. I think it'll be fantastic.
All right, thank you. 916 and discussion and possible action on middle school track.
So Mr. Tomey hasn't been able to find a middle school track coach, but Weston Middle School would kind of like to work with us. They have a coach and 5 kids. They want to drive down here and have track. And I'm like, oh, I love that idea. So it's not really a co-op, so we don't really need, you know.
No, because our junior high sports are not.
Right, so I said,
Works
our
out
now
for
that's the
everybody,
word.
right? So we would need action to just approve.
Combined
Combined with
Weston,
their coach.
Ithaca, not co-op.
There'd be money involved, so we'd have to bus, so we might as well.
No, they're coming here, right?
They would come here, they have a van and 5 kids.
Yeah, but we always do that. It's just, I think, just that basically since we're gonna allow them to, you know, we're basically hiring their coach, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of what I look at it
If
like.
they're paying for a coach, we should be able to bus.
If,
I'll make it.
If,
what about the numbers? I mean,
we usually have about 30 kids.
well, that's what I'm saying. Are we still gonna try to find a?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot. It's a lot of.
It's a lot of kids,
Yeah.
but as of right now, we don't have any coach.
Okay.
So at least one
This would allow us to proceed.
to start the season at least, and hopefully then we'll find some other people.
As a former coach, I think the busing is a bigger deal than the coaching. I mean, if we're only using our own buses for busing, the last time I coached, we were showing up at meets almost 2 hours early because we didn't have buses. So I guess I would not close the door on the Weston busing situation.
Sure. Yeah, because we had, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
every
It's
trip.
it's a good alternative.
And they have lamers.
Yeah.
So
So,
How many
I
middle
just
school
meant
track?
Cost wise.
yeah,
I
exactly.
was
Yeah,
referring
cost wise,
to.
yeah. I mean,
How many middle school track do we have?
we usually have about 30.
It was
More than a
large
van.
group last year or the year before.
That's because it was you.
it's a great program. It's a nice way to at least know we're gonna be able to have something and I strongly support us doing it. Is there any more discussion or a motion or? Oh, you made a motion? Sorry. Motion by Mr. Manning to participate with Weston in middle school track
I'll second that.
and second by Mr. Pearson. All in, we need a roll call? I don't think so because we're not explicitly spending money, all right? Roll call.
Okay, Mr. Manning. Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Varian.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. 10, the new business, 10-1, discussion possible action on bills and balances. So we had total receipts of $1,268,003.42 and total disbursements of $1,370,155.95.
I make a motion that we accept that.
Motion by Mr. Peterson to accept the bills and balances as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
By Mr. Brown, roll call please.
Mrs. Varian.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy. Okay, sorry. Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Manning.
Yes.
Okay, then, motion carries 10-2, discussion and possible action on insurance renewal.
Our insurance came up with a 3.5% increase, which is very, very, very low. So we're very happy about that. I'm gonna try and make this a little bigger. So we have a couple options. It's getting smaller when I get it. Okay, it's not gonna get bigger and I apologize. So I'll read them to you. So our insurance is gonna go up here. This is what we're currently paying. This is the next one over. Renewal is still at 2,000, 4,000 for deductibles, HSA contributions and deductibles. And currently the district pays 87.4% and the staff pays the other percent. With the increase, a single family goes from 604 to 625, and a single, and a family goes from 1571 to 1626. So the annual total went up from 784 to 812. Our contribution, employer contribution goes up from 685, 839 to 709, 862. The HSA contribution stays the same. And then our total employer cost, because we pay the contribution and the HSA, it was 857,839, and it goes up to 881,862. That's the difference. That's an additional $24,023 for the whole school year if we leave everything alone. Then as the bottom one is the individual employee for a single pays $76.15 now. They would go up to $78.82 because they're paying a percentage of that increase. And the family is $197.99 and it would go up to $204.93. If you would like to, and again, these are options that they give us so that we can just see a bigger discussion. Instead of us paying 87.4%, if we paid 85%, that means that our insurance, our total cost would go up down $20,000 from this cost. So our cost would be $4,530 increase over last year. That means that our employer premium contribution does go down because the employee's contribution percentage would go up. It would go from 76 to 93 and from 197 to 243. Another option is to change, these are both the same option. This one is to change the HSA from 2,000, 4,000 to 1,900, 3,800, and from 2,000, 4,000 to 1,800 and 3,600. Again, it was just us as a district paying into their HSA lower amount. That would mean that the employee is tapped for more money in their deductible, but the district would save on the HSA contribution. So those both would go down. If we did the 1,900, which is just 100 for it's 100 for 2,000. So it's 1,900 and then 200. It saves us 100 for a single and 200 for a family. That would reduce our total price for the year to $15,000. And if we did 200 and 400 less, then our total contribution price would be $6,823. This is the CISA 3 co-op, and right now their percentage rate is at 8.78. Ours is way low. So again, we like to look at the whole picture and show everybody that there are options for the school to save money, and then recommends that we just eat up the 24,000 and hope that everybody keeps going, getting their well checks. So.
And we did discuss this in finance, and the finance committee felt the same way, to leave it as it is with the year that, our staff has put in, that to just leave what we contribute the same. And then that came out to like a 2.8% increase for us, because the employee does have a slight increase on their plan.
Other discussion on that?
I would move to approve the 3.5%. That's what was recommended by finance.
Leaving everything the same way.
Correct.
Been moved by Mr. Brisbois to renew, leaving the plan the way it is now with the 2.8 increase.
I would second that.
Second by Mrs. Peterson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Manning,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mrs. Variance.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries then. 10.3 then, discussion possible action on paving the new parking lot, reconditioning part of the old lot, and widening and completing the bus lane, and then restriping the parking lot. We had approved this at a lower price, but then when they came to look at it further, part of the existing old lot needs to be redone, also to make it so that they were afraid that as broken up as it was, we'd get water underneath the new parking lot. So that is the increase of 15,100 that's there, so. Buildings and grounds recommend that we would do this, and then we talked about it in
Finance as
finance.
well,
And the striping.
Yep, and the striping.
because we originally approved like 50,000, didn't we?
Yeah, 40 some
40 something,
thousand,
it
and there was
was, yeah,
50,000
so-
budgeted for maintenance. So then this would be, like,
59,577 with striking.
yep, so like 10,000 over what we had budgeted in there, but there's also other, when we look at in buildings and grounds and in finance, there's other year-end money left over that would cover the cost of the project.
Did you come up with that?
59,577.
Yeah.
I got 30, I got 54,700 and then striping was 2840 I got.
That's what.
The striping, he doesn't have to do all the striping, I think, because they're not gonna touch the first couple of rows. I think that's what it is.
Seems to reflect what we had in building and ground.
I've got buildings and grounds right here.
Say, Julie,
Yes,
that 2840, that shouldn't even be included now because that was on the lower parking lot where the buses were in that lower gym. And if we're not gonna do that, then they wouldn't be striping it.
Okay.
Oh,
So this other one includes the striping that would need to be done?
Yes, that was already approved.
yeah, the striping was already approved, but I didn't want anybody to forget about it.
Yeah, so basically, we're asking
it's
for
two different-
another 15,000.
Yeah, Farner is doing the striping, so
Yeah,
Answer's
Yeah.
doing the,
So you need a
Asphalt.
motion for the 54,700, right?
yes. Basically amending the other one with the past article to this. one. Any other discussion on that?
I'll move to approve the bid from Gasser for paving the new parking lot, reconditioning part of the old lot, and widening and completing the bus lane for an amount of 54,700.
Been moved by Mr. Brisbois. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Brown. Roll call, please.
Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mrs. Perry. Yes. Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mr. Gaines.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. And 10-4, discussion possible action on purchasing new playground set at a cost of $78,757.
do you want me to explain this?
Sure, because I think there's a couple that have not seen it.
Right,
We
right.
discussed this in buildings and grounds and in
And in
finance.
finance.
So in finance, so we lost 2 teachers and we filled them in with subs. So because of that, there's a savings on their salaries and their wages and all the benefits. We also did not hire a full-time transportation director, so there's a saving on those wages and benefits. Those totals come up to this much money, $139,805 for those of you on the computer. And with this money, we're hoping to pay for the playground equipment of $78,000. That would still give us $61,000 left of that extra money. It's in our budget to be spent. We didn't spend it, or we shifted
We just have to reallocate it.
we have to reallocate it. Okay? Then, additionally budgeted in our, budget are buildings and grounds, some heating, electric, fuel furnishings that we haven't spent and we don't need to. It's already 9 weeks left, and this amount of money comes to $126,914. we would like to use, well, this is a different number than I have. We just, oh, you
That's because the number I had, so.
Striping on
we Need to change that to 54,
54, okay, I can't because it's yours,
and
but,
that's fine, but
anyway, you get the idea that the asphalt and striping will come out of this. Potentially, everything's approved, this is with approval, you guys. The basketball winches, the bleachers, and an air conditioning process. If we don't, so if we spend all that, we would have this 9,000 left in this pot of money that's already been budgeted but not used. If we don't do the air cleaning process, then we'd have this much money left. Additionally, we have Title IV money, which is a grant we get 10,000 every year. We didn't spend it in the last couple of years. So between last year, this year, and next year, we're gonna get, we got an additional, we didn't know we were gonna get it. So we had 30,000 to do with that, and that's gonna be obligated for technology. And again, some of that's on the agenda tonight. We have REAP money from 1920 of 23,000, REAP money from 2021 of 29,000, and Mrs. Richards already applied for the next REAP grant that might be up to 23,000. So if you just take these three grants, we have $83,000. And we're planning on spending 61,000 on interactive TVs and 24,000 on servers and the desktops and laptops.
2,400.
I'm sorry, 2,400. Desktops and laptops, which I guess were already approved and I didn't remember that and I apologize for that.
10,000.
So we would still have $9,000 left in these three pots of money. And we might get some more in from a REAP grant. It just hit, and this was all an explanation, and you can look at it. Anybody has any questions about allowable costs and the gears and ESSERs and the REAP funds, and there's a lot of strings attached to all of it. If we have money left over, after we're all done allocating and spending what we want to spend, if we put it in the capital improvement funds, which we started 2 years ago, it spends the money. It means that we spent the money even though it's still sitting there. And we can do that this year and next year and the next year and have a bigger pot of money to put on some sort of bigger project. It does count as an expense. So we would get it calculated to the equalization and we would get aid on it. Another option.
For 3 more years.
Yeah, we can't spend it for 3 more years, but that's what that Fund 46 was. We had to write a plan. We had to have an allocation to it. It had to be in a special account. It took us almost a year for us to get that all figured out. And there's only $5,000 in it right now. The receipt would not count towards shared costs. Okay. Option 2 is we could put any extra money that we have left over into fund balance for a specific project, but it doesn't count as an expense. So it's not allocated for something. And we can always add to fund balance. There's nothing wrong with that. Option 3 is we can choose to spend it on something for next year that can't be fulfilled in this current year. But again, it doesn't count as an expense, but it is booked as a prepaid expense, which is a district asset.
and then it becomes an asset.
And then option 4 is to choose something else that we, like technology or something that we can still purchase and receive before June 30, 2021. Whatever we spend it has to be done in this fiscal year. Or we could leave it as it is and the fund balance will grow, enabling cash flow to be good and investments to gain more interest. Also gives the district a better S&P rating. So we wanted you guys to see the whole, we've been working on this for a while. Part of it is because we're good at writing grants, we're getting grant money. I mean, share rates for the REAP every single year. I don't know how difficult that one is because I've never had to write for it, but they gave us extra Title IV money. But they tell you this is what you could spend it on. And when you do it that way, then you don't have to spend money that you would normally have spent. So we're able to spend the money that we have in here with all your approval. Does anybody have any questions on those?
No, all of these projects and some others we've discussed in buildings and grounds, and we kind of prioritize these as the ones that we would like to address now with what we have, and most of them are projects that we've talked about in the past. And had in various stages on our capital improvement plan, and, we just haven't had the ability to address them. And then we talked about them in finance tonight. Kind of wanted to address the finance part of them and make sure there was monies available. So,
With the playground, there would still need to be money for the wood chips or whatever
and there
is
is some
decided
budgeted
that we're
every year,
gonna
right?
use, but they said there might be some fundraising going on.
Yes.
And there's part of that is budgeted already. There's a certain amount for,
And we can budget in next year's for, and that happens in July and August before school starts.
Julie, that flow chart you have going there, that bus sales, that
This
budget, yeah, that budget for 25,000 of air cleaning. So I guess that's one thing to keep in mind too, right? Depending on which bid we were to go with.
Yes, it would be 42, or again, we don't even have to do it. It's an idea of something to be.
the other thing here is there's more ESSER two money
Yes.
that we've got coming in that would be a very easy, legitimate one to spend.
Sure, okay.
that-
And we have plenty of
This isn't
time. to do
COVID
it.
grant
No,
necessarily.
we haven't touched that yet.
The third, it's the second ESSER,
Mhm.
and then there's a third ESSER, which we don't even know what's been allocated yet.
Okay.
So we have first ESSER and gears have been allocated. And ESSER two, we have $167,000 in, which we haven't touched yet. And that this air cleaning process could come out of there. Very good expense. There's lots of things, but they're still developing the rules for that.
Are we on 10.4?
Yes.
You're on 10-4, yes.
Then I would make the motion that we purchase the playground equipment at $78,757.
Been moved by Mrs. Peterson to approve the new playground equipment. Second by Mr. Manning. Roll call, please.
Mr. Boothroyd.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mrs. Variance. Yes. Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Manning.
Yes.
Thank you guys for.
On behalf of the elementary kids, thank you.
Thank you for all your hard work on lining all that stuff up and getting that. Only thing I would say is probably want to report to Buildings and Grounds next month, just kind of.
Yep, I already talked to him. I said I'll give you an update tomorrow and you can tell me what the process is from there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, 10.5 is a discussion possible action on installing new basketball wenches. So we had a couple of bids. This is the one that Frank felt the most comfortable with as far as providers he's worked for. We've talked about this for a couple of years now and the need to redo them. There's a couple of them that the cables are fraying badly, and so there's a hazard there, but these would be automatic ones that no matter who put them up, they would get rolled up the same every time. There's been issues in the past with they're rolled up wrong, they've damaged some things, and this has been one that we've talked about but have not been able to address.
So are these like a protected case where you have to have a key to open it?
And then push the button. Frank?
Push the button?
Frank there?
I am.
Frank, do you want to explain how they would operate?
Yeah, they would have, each one would have a certain remote and so forth, and they would go up individually. So it'll be a switch key. You go over to it, you turn the key and so forth, it automatically goes up to a certain height and then it'll stop.
I just didn't want.
Now, I don't know what the price Julie's got, but I called them and did get a little bit lower price. Right now it's $18,972.
Oh, so it's higher.
That's higher.
That's higher.
The one price was, yeah, 12.
$240 for Weimer.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking about the bleachers.
Bleachers.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
That's okay. Thanks for giving us a heart attack, though.
Hey, I just want to see if you guys are waiting. It's been a long meeting.
This commission.
I'm guessing the other 6,000 was made out to Frank.
I need some golf clubs.
So that one is still at 12,240, right? For Weimer?
Yes, that is correct. And that covers cables, it covers everything except the electrical work. And both bids does not cover the electrical work because of accountability.
Right.
You're probably talking another 2,000 or 3,000 probably.
Probably.
No, it wouldn't be that much. I talked to Jim Burnett and he said it'd be like right around 1,500.
There you go. Okay,
I move to approve the purchasing from Weimer's, the bid for new basketball winches. Amount of $12,240, not including electrical.
okay, been moved by Mr. Burleson, second by Mr. Manning, to accept the bid from Weimer's for the new basketball winches. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mr. Manning.
Yes.
Mrs. Varian. Yes. Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes,
Sorry.
that's okay.
Right when you were in break.
Yep. Okay, so motion carries. 10-6 then, discuss and possible action on ordering interactive TVs and computers for classrooms, totaling $61,806. These would replace the,
Smart board.
So it's 53,526 for the actual TVs and all the setup. And then they need PCs to drive them, so that's an additional $8,200. So that's how we got, they're from two different companies, but together it will be whatever you just
and
said.
so how many are those? How many?
You get, we'll get 12.
Well, this is something we've also talked about.
We discussed this in great detail.
Yeah. Kind of always been a hope we can do it. Any other discussion on it? Motion by Mr. Manning to accept the bid for the new interactive TVs and computers for a total cost of $61,806. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. Ferriens. Roll call, please.
Mr. Manning.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Varian. Yes. Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Okay, then 10-7, discussion possible action on purchasing server $2,400 at a cost of $2,400 paper cut.
It's for our software so that we can save things electronically.
Also move.
By Mr. Brisboy, is there a second?
I'll second it.
By Mrs. Peterson, roll call, please.
Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Manning. Mrs. Varian. Yes.
I believe 10-8 and 10-9, we'd already approved those, right?
And I apologize for that.
Yep, that's okay, but that's right. That's the, those are to replace the, like in the teachers.
Yep. Well, desktops are for teachers and the laptops are for the middle school core teachers.
Sure. So if that's not correct, if those are different ones, just bring them back in another meeting, but I'm 99% sure that. Yep. Okay, so no action on 10-8, no action on 10-9. 10-10 then, discussion possible action on cleaning processing, air cleaning process costs upper 90 and precision control. Upper 90s is at a cost of $24,000. Precision controls, the GPS one is at a cost of $41,000.
I would like us to just wait on this one. I think we could very easily use ESSER money for this. If we have this much money left over in our budget, I wish we would put it into Fund 46 so that we can keep it for potentially building a new building, adding something on. Even if nothing else, do the parking lot down there. So it's definitely can be used from ESSER 2 money. So that'd be a wiser choice to use, and we don't have any rules for it yet, so.
Any other discussion on that? Okay, so we will table that one. 10-11, discussion possible action on purchasing new bleachers from K Park at a cost of now, Frank?
Frank, how much?
Okay, 18,972.
Okay, good job. Thank you for doing that. We had several other ones that we had looked at, and this was the one that Frank had looked over all the details on and felt the most comfortable with. what this is for. We talked about this in buildings and grounds and in finance. The ones we currently have now, we move back and forth to the softball and baseball diamonds, and they're getting damaged quite a bit. So we just buy another set to replace the ones we move, and they would stay where they are. We wouldn't have to move them anymore.
I'll move to approve the purchase of new bleachers from K Park for $18,972.
Okay, moved by Mr. Brown. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. Ferriens. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Ferriens. Yes. Mr. Lewis.
Yes.
Mr. Manning. Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries then. 10-12, discussion and possible action on selling bus.
I'm recommending we sell bus 11. Wait. Yeah,
Sure, I don't want to get rid of the new one.
It
A
was-
bus, let's leave it at a bus.
A
A bus.
One sitting on the road with the sign on it all that time.
So
Yes.
we
looked at it.
visually looked at it, but it would need like $3,000
Yeah,
of
it's like
repairs.
$3,200 or $3,500 just to get it
And
so that it'll pass inspection.
and we don't need it. We've got other spares. Recommendation from Buildings and Grounds was to get rid of it. We talked about
Put it on
finance.
Wisconsin
same thing.
surplus again.
Yes,
Yep.
we would put it on Wisconsin surplus.
So,
I would move to sell the bus and direct Mr. Richards to put it on Wisconsin surplus.
is there a second? Motion by Mr. Brisboy, second by
I'll second that.
Mr. Peterson. We need a roll call? Sure, roll call. We're on a roll.
What?
I said we're on a roll with roll call. so-
Oh, Mrs. Ferriens. Let me see. Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mr. Manning.
Yes.
Mrs. how come I got Mrs. Peterson twice? Mr. Brown.
Yes.
It's really important. Mr. Lewis, did I forget somebody?
Mr. Manning.
No, and yes. No, you forgot nobody, and yes on mine.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Okay, motion carries then. 10-13, discussion possible action on accepting donation for Mimic.
Kalimba.
Okay, so,
We don't quite know what it is, but.
Sure.
I can show it to you.
Oh, Mrs. Thompson won it. She will demonstrate.
And-
I can't demonstrate it, but I can show it.
So we can keep going.
and is that from ExxonMobil? Or is
No,
that a
no,
different?
that's from MEMIC
Okay,
Insurance Company.
okay,
So you pluck it.
You pluck it.
For- okay.
And you're supposed to be able to play for you.
Some people could.
You
There you go.
tube it, and there are people that can play.
Some
it.
people could. Some people could. This person can.
To accept the Mimic.
Does that go in the shop class?
Yes.
I think we want a demonstration next meeting by Mrs. Barron.
Liz Niemeyer says
Oh,
she.
boy.
Are we doing these in two separate motions?
Yeah, we'll do them
Well, there's actually,
3. So we'll do this one, the Mimic. Do we need a roll on that?
There's no doubt.
No?
about it.
No, okay. Motion to accept that. Mr. Brisboy, second. Mrs. France, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that one carries then. Then the ExxonMobil oil of $500.
I would make a motion that we accept that.
Okay, by Mrs. Peterson, is there a second? By Mr. Manning, we need a roll on that one. No?
Do we?
Okay. Okay, everyone in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that one motion carries. Okay, and then
desks.
desks from Liz Overmacher's dad.
And I'm sorry, I didn't find his name on.
Okay, all right, motion to accept the desks
I will so move.
by Mr. Brisboy. Is there a second? By Mr. Brown, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and then donation by Dr. Ken Solis of $450. Is it earmarked for anything?
Yeah, it's actually an award we give out every year, and I don't know why I didn't put it, yeah, it's for a teacher. And I should have put it on every single year I've been here, and it just sits here, I'm like, oh, we've never put it on the board agenda, so.
Okay.
He very graciously donates money for a teacher.
All right.
I'll make that motion.
By Mrs. Peterson, is there a second? By Mr. Manning, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, and we thank all the donors very much for their donations to the school district. 10:14 then, discussion possible action on accepting board members' resignation. So
I received a notice of resignation. It's actually in my car. I forgot to bring it in, but from Steve Lewis, effective May.
I think the 12th or 13th, it's just after the May meeting.
What happens if they don't accept it, Mr.?
I was gonna say, I think everybody ought to turn this one down.
How many years have you been on board?
I don't remember.
Not long enough.
Okay, turned in as an effective May 12th, I believe.
I think so. I think the Wednesday after the next meeting.
It's in my car right now. I apologize.
Any discussion?
Well, I suppose we have to respect the wishes, but it's with regrets that I make a motion that we accept Steve's resignation.
Been moved by Mrs. Peterson. Is there a second?
I will second.
Second by Mr. Brisbois. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Sad eye.
I appreciate the time that I've had on it and all the experiences, and I'm proud of the many accomplishments that we have been able to address.
Thank you.
I think it's time to slow down a little bit. And I have been put on a couple other boards, so my time is good.
We do go talk to my husband.
About boards?
He's probably listening. No, not boards.
How to resign.
Okay, 10:15 then, discussion possible action on accepting coaching resignation.
Mr. Mesra has resigned as boys basketball coach.
Discussion? Motion?
I will so move to accept Mr. Metro's resignation and thank him for his years of coaching.
Okay, been moved by Mr. Brisbois. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Brown. All in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Yes, and we thank him for his many years of service. We good? Okay. 10:16, discussion possible action on MOU with UW-Platteville Richland.
So it changed a little bit. It actually got stuck at the attorneys in UW-Platteville, and it was held up by the combining of the universities. So it's now approved. We have, our attorneys looked it over. We have 3 places that we could potentially use: the Roadrunner Gym, the Wallace Student Center, and a classroom building. So everything is, you guys have looked it over. Nothing was substantially changed. Because once in a while they don't like this word, or there's a period, or you know how they do that.
We had approved this before, right? Now you're
Right, and now it's just
changes.
tweaked a little bit because it's final, and then we will have to sign it. And then the other thing is that we have Richland County actually owns.
Correct.
So we have, it's a 3-way MOU.
Sure.
I would like you to approve it, please.
I'll make the motion that we approve the MOU with UW-Platteville Richland.
Motion's been made by Mrs. Peterson. Is there a second? By Mrs. France. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. 10:17, discussion possible action on passages MOU.
So when I first started, we had an MOU with Passages, and then something happened and we withdrew. They have new people working there, and I have gone over this with a fine-tooth comb and added things that I wanted in there to safeguard our students. So I would recommend that you accept this MOU.
I also move.
Moved by Mr. Brisboy, and second by Mr. Manning. No money involved in it. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Move on to 10:18, then discussion possible action on CISA 3 contract.
So you can see last year's, this column, this is just the price list, and this is what would be contracted this year. So you can see we're keeping just about everything the same. Last year, we added way at the end of the school year, the virtual learning collaborative and Certainty, because Certainty holds Schoology. We did not feel that we got our money's worth out of the virtual learning collaborative, so we are not willing to do that one again. So it's total, because right now we don't have any special education needs, that's the bottom half. So it's less than it was last year. It's still up a little bit, but it's less than it was last year.
So no non-violent crisis intervention stuff.
Right, because we currently have our own, through one of the grants, we currently have our own in-house trainer, so we don't have to pay anybody. Well, I'd like to pay him because he's doing extra work, but we don't have to pay CC for that.
Any discussion, questions?
Yeah, does anybody want to know what any of this stuff is? Again,
Literacy services?
what did you, what?
What are the, oh, we don't have them, but what is the literacy?
Yeah,
services?
they're nice because they're all clickable. Literacy services are, oh, never mind. I don't know what literacy services are.
Never mind. That's fine.
That might be Meredith.
Yeah, it could be. I think they have a literacy audit that they do.
That I don't know.
That's fine. Sorry.
It might be something that needs to be added though.
In your budget.
Any other questions, discussion? So what's the total cost?
$24,450.
I make a motion that we approve the CISA 3 contract for $24,450.
450? Okay. And moved by Mrs. Peterson. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Manning. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Variance? Yes. Mr. Brisboy?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yeah.
Okay, motion carries then. 10:19, discussion possible action on engaging Johnson Block.
So this is the letter. This is their explanation of what they're gonna provide. And then they're gonna provide all of this stuff. I'm sure you read it all. How,
Same as in the past.
almost to the bottom, here we go. So we have to we don't, the price goes up every year, but it's,
Yeah, it's in there like the page before, but it's kind of in paragraph form. So
Right.
right there in the middle of county services. There, and then up above that is the actual, there, 89.75.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we can't bypass it.
And is that a 1 year or?
That's just 1 year.
Okay.
here we go.
Also move.
Moved by Mr. Brisboy to accept the Johnson Block contract. Second by Mr. Manning. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Peterson?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
Mr. Brisboy?
Yes.
Mrs. Variance?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries. Then 10:20, discussion possible action on food service.
We just wanted to bring it up. There is a 30-day out on the contract. If they both agree, we both agree. If that's something you guys want to do, we did look into money very briefly. We have somebody that's willing to become the person in charge. And the ladies that work at our district want to work for our district. So I don't know if that's something that if they're mutually okay with, if you want me to ask about it.
I think it's probably one that we would want to take a deeper dive in. Talk a little bit about it in buildings and grounds and maybe in finance. You know,
What's our timeline?
Well,
To
it's,
get out of it for next year, we have to let them know by May 1st.
but we wouldn't have anything done for like the cooler or anything like that. We're at best a year away from, you know,
Yeah,
because if we took it back, we
we don't have
would
the
have the space.
infrastructure even approved. if we were to
Yeah.
do this.
right.
Yeah. But it's a thing that if we explore it, you know, and think that that's where we want to go, then we would have to do the building project and that. I think it's a conversation to have. It's always a good conversation to have, you know. We talked about this a few years ago about the busing stuff, you know, and everybody got all excited, but it's, you know, a responsible thing to do is have the conversation and see where it leads and see what the, you know, what the, you know, the interest of the district is best served and.
And the contract's a year, correct?
Yeah.
We're
It's
on
the
This is
second year.
First year of a two-year.
So it's a
contract.
2-year
We've got-
contract that they asked for.
And I mean, it makes
This
sense.
next school year would be the second year.
Yes.
So at the end of this next upcoming school year would be the year to have the ducks in a row if we were thinking of going that way. So I think it's a, you know, it's at least have the conversation and we have plenty of time to do it correctly. So I would say, you know, talk about it in the other two committees and it's, you know, start having the conversations with the people involved and go from there. Any thoughts, questions, comments on that?
I would concur, we just would table, there's no action tonight. Just that we investigate further.
Any other comments? Okay, moving on to 10:21, then discussion possible action on committee dates. So the next finance and personnel would be Monday, May 10th at 6 PM. That's before the next regularly scheduled school board meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mrs. Peters to set the next finance meeting on May 10th at 6 PM. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Brown, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, that one is set 10:21.2 buildings and grounds for May 5th. At 6, right, we said?
Yeah.
Okay, motion to set that. By Mr. Manning, is there a second?
Probably won't be there, but I'll make that.
Did you second it, Ron?
I did.
Second by Mr. Brisbois, all in favor of setting next buildings and grounds, May 5th at 6 PM. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, this is set next. 10:21.3 policy, April, oopsie.
Yeah, we do have one in April, but that was set already. so-
Okay. You want to set another one or do you want to wait?
We need more policy team members, so.
Okay, so we'll wait till after we set the next one.
Yep,
Okay.
sounds good.
All right, but it is set, the next one is set for April 14th, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then 10:21.4 curriculum, May 6th at 5 PM.
That's
No,
already
May
set.
No, May 19th. This isn't, I don't know if we're gonna set this one, or we're gonna wait until we get more policy committee members, because right now
Yeah.
I've got Mrs. Variance. She's doing a really good job,
Doing awesome.
but she's all
No
about.
policy. So then curriculum, is that
That
already
was set
set?
at the last board meeting.
Okay. All right, so we're good with that. All right, then 10:22, discussion and possible action on setting board meeting dates. Next one is May 10th at 7 PM.
So
Moved by Mr. Brisbois to set it on May 10th at 7 PM. Is there a second? By Mrs. France, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? Okay, the May meeting is set. The June meeting, June 14th at 7 PM.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mrs. Peterson to set the June 14th meeting, 7 PM. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. France. All in favor, signify by saying aye. And opposed? Okay, June 14th meeting is set. July meeting. 10
July 12th, that's why I put both of these on here all the way to July. I'm gonna be out of town
On the 12th.
on the 12th, so we need to think about a good date for us to have the board meeting. I'm gonna be gone. That's Saturday or Sunday, and I'm gonna be in San Diego for the week, so.
So you'll be gone like the 10th through the 17th, basically, okay? Motion set it a week before, a week after,
We don't even necessarily have to set it right now, but
sure.
do we want to do it the day after 4th of July? And if we get too close, then it's
For a lot of people, that's a holiday,
Yeah.
the 5th.
So do we want to wait for
for the new board
new
members.
board members?
Yeah, we should.
Okay.
I just
all right,
wanted you guys to be aware of it, so.
Okay, all right. So we're good on all those? Okay, all right, then 11, adjourn to closed session under Wisconsin statute 19.851C for consideration, employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. In closed session, we'll discuss 11.1, discussion regarding performance evaluation of district employee, teaching staff, administration, and or coaching. That's it, right? Okay. Will be motion to go in closed session.
How long are we gonna be closed session, do you think?
Not less than 10 minutes, but probably will be.
I will so move.
By Mr. Brisbois, second. By Mrs. France, roll call.
Mrs. Peterson.
Yes.
Mrs. Varian.
Yes.
Sorry. Find it. Mr. Varian, Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Mr. Manning, Mr. Brisboy.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Here's we're in closed session. We'll go down to the art room like we usually do.
Does somebody want this? It's got a really good explanation.